Okay, so now let's take a look at a few other options. We already explored the elements. Now let's see what else is in the editor. So I'm gonna come over here to there. So I'm gonna start from right to left. We already saw it over here. You can save your page by clicking here. You can preview your page by clicking over here. Then here's your element. So one of the ways to add an element is over here because it will add below. Or you can also come over here and add an element. Let's say, for example, headline, and you can just drag and drop it. Something like that. The other things that you can do, you can manage your elements. So let's take a look at this one, for example. You can see over here, you can select, for example, hey, I want to select the minute countdown, right? So I can just click here, and I select, and I come over here. Same way that we can just come over here and go to the settings. The next one, it will be the columns. So I can click over here, and same thing, I can select the different columns. So let's say, for example, I have here 2 columns, right? Let's say I want to select this column. And why I want to select that column? Because there is no other way. If you come over here and click the settings, it will be for both columns. It will be for the entire blue thing type of settings. So let me show you. If you see over here, if I change the top, how much space I want in the top, you see it changes everything. Because I selected the entire thing. But let's say I only want to change the top of this one, right? So there's no way, because the only thing I can come over here and I can change, but that will be the top of this element, not necessarily the top of the entire column. So let me show you actually what I meant for that. So let's say I add a headline here, and you can just click here, move it, and just drag it up there, right? So now what happens if I want this as the first one to be upper or higher, right? Because before I was operating on over here, when I increase the value, it will be with respect of what's above, not to respect of this column. So the only way to get there is through columns. You come over here to the right column, click there, and that's when you increase the top of only that. Or not just the top, let's say you want the right and left to be changed, or just the bottom of that column where the bottom doesn't have anything there. So that's how you change those things. Now let's take a look what else is in here. Very similar to rows, you can add a row, and you can just drag and drop the rows over here. Let's say I have a 3 row, or I can also manage the rows if I want to select the specific column rows, right? And then it goes. So that one will be the same as if I were to do these settings, right? And then finally it will be the same as section. You can add a section, or you can also manage your sections. So you see over here we have the middle section. This will be the top section. Here will be the other middle section and the footer section. That's everything over here. Now another one that I want to show you, actually let me show you later on. I think it will be more sense showing you later on. Over here is an undo. So let's say, for example, over here I add, let's say I remove this element. Something happened and I remove it and I didn't realize I removed it. It's like, oh no, how can I go back? This is the undo. You can come back, or this is the redo. Perfect. Really easy. You can just change it. If you make a mistake or something, just roll back. Pop-ups, I will explain that a little bit later on. And settings, I will explain that later on. Here you also have apps. Now here's where I like it, because right now how you look at it is from a desktop perspective. But nowadays a lot of people also look their stuff on mobile. So how can you do this mobile friendly? You can just click here, it will look mobile, and over here that's where you can adjust things. And this is how this works. Let's go over here to the text. You can change the size of the text only on mobile, and that's where you go over here to this one that says mobile size. So this font size is the font on the desktop. This is the font on your mobile. So right now it's at the same size. Let's say, for example, I want bigger for mobile, because over there is like, hey, it's not that attractive. Let's say I put 37. And then I say, no, actually I don't like 37. Let's put it 40. It's like, okay, I'm comfortable with 40. So now that will change 40 over there on mobile, but on desktop it will be the same size, which it will be 50 in this case. Even though before we saw it was different just because it was mobile, this font size, so actually let me do a dramatic change. Let's put it over here, that size, right? It's 18 on the desktop view, right? So now I come here on mobile, and you see over here huge, because on mobile is at 40. But if I change over here, let's say over here I put 60, you see, it's not changing anything at all. But let's say I leave it at 70 and didn't change over here, right? But let's see what happened when I go to the desktop. You see now it changed over here. So even though the numbers are kind of misleading and different sometimes, this font size will manage the desktop. This will manage what's on the mobile. That's for the fonts. Now you will tell me, hey, what happened, for example, with images? Let's take a look at the logo. Let's say, hey, the logo is too big over here for the mobile. I don't want it that big because, I mean, logo is important, but I don't want it to occupy that much of a space. So over here you have your image width, and your width right now is 250, and you say, hey, I want it smaller. So let's say I put 100, and I say 100 is too small. Let's say I put like 150, and say, hey, 150 looks pretty good. I want that. The problem is that over here we don't have a mobile version. So if you put 150 over here, in your desktop, it will also look as 150. So a lot of people will say, okay, well, how can I fix that? Because I like in the desktop to be 250 because that's a good size, but on the mobile it's too small. I mean, too big. So basically what you're going to have to do, you're going to have two of these ones. So you can clone here, as you can see it here. And here is what you're going to be doing. The first one, you're going to say here. So here is the showing. You're showing right now in all. You're showing mobile and desktop. Or you can say, hey, show only on mobile or show only on desktop. So what we're going to do is the first one, we're going to show only on desktop. And the second one, we're going to show in mobile. So the desktop size is fine, right? We want this one to be at 250. That's the desktop one. The below that is mobile, we want it to be at 150. So here's what we're gonna do. So we select this one, the first one above, and we come over here and we say, hey, this will be desktop only. And it will mark this thing over here just for you to know when you're looking. And then we're gonna say, hey, the below one, I just want it to be mobile only. And you see when I selected, it automatically changed me to mobile. And when it displays right now as mobile, it doesn't display the desktop only one option. You see? And now actually if I go back to the desktop, it's not going to show you the mobile one. And now you can have two different sizes. But that's only for videos and images. Text you can change a different size for mobile and a different size for desktop. What else is over there? Let's say, for example, hey, you're not sure if you want to display this one or not. Rather than removing it because, hey, you spend a lot of time to, make it nicer and everything, you just don't want to delete it. And if later on you need it again, you're going to have to make the changes in the configuration and the colors and everything. You can just click over here and say, hide. And basically it will hide for the entire page. And I don't know if you saw over here a message. Let's say you want it now. So it's like, okay, so how can I re-get it again? How can I get it again, right? So you come over here because that was an element, right? We come to element, we come to manage element, and will be easy. Just look for this one, and you see these ones are the ones that are hidden. So here's my minute countdown, and I just hide it and hide it. You can just come over here and hide things. I can hide the headline. Let's say I want to hide the video, for example. You can just hide and unhide things. That's basically some of the functionalities over here. Now let's come over here to a little bit more advanced. The other one that you may be using is the pop-up. And let me show you what the pop-up is. Pop-up is that one. It's basically you have when you try to exit the page, you will have this pop-up. Right now there's nothing there. I'm just gonna add a simple headline so we have at least something there. Perfect. So now let me actually come over here to edit settings. So in edit settings, that's when you come over here and you say what's the trigger on the exit. Means on the exit page. So you don't want to trigger when someone tries to exit the page, or you want to trigger when someone tries to exit the page. So I'll change that. I'll save it. Then I'll preview it and let me show you what it means when someone tries to exit. So someone is here. When you try to exit, what you do? You have to close the window, right? So you usually go either up here to try to close or up there to try to close. And you see, you have here automatically. Basically, it looks for your mouse and it senses when you're trying to exit. Now, if you do it that once, like I did it right now, it's not going to happen again because that's bothering the user too much. Every time that they go up, it's going to be appearing. So if the first time they lose it, right? And then over here in the settings, you also have other type of settings. If you want to have a background image, if you want to have like a color over there in this backdrop, usually you see something like that, right? Where it's kind of black, darker in the other one, so this one highlights better. You have text color, you can control how much top, bottom, right and left space you want to have. That's most of it. You can control some of the things, like for example the radius here, if you want it to be more curved or not, full border, similarly to the other things that we've already saw it. So you can explore more on that. So that's the pop-up. Next one we're gonna look is settings. So I'm gonna start with general. General settings is basically the things that I usually change are these last two. The first one is the affiliate badge. So right now it's in show. So the affiliate badge, if you look at it, is the ClickFunnels badge that appears down here. So actually it's hard to see right now because you have my video there. Actually, let me move the video. Okay, perfect. So you see over here the ClickFunnels, that's the badge. Okay, let's go back to the video. And that's where you can say over here, hey, you want to show the badge or you don't want to show the badge? If you show the badge and someone clicks on there and creates a ClickFunnels account, well, ClickFunnels will give you a commission for that, just as an FYI. I'm not going to go back right now into all the commissions and everything. Maybe that's another video. But for now, we're going to explore some of the settings that we have in the page. The other one, if you want the search engines to find your page, sometimes you don't want them to find your page, right? For many other reasons. So you change that, save over here. Sorry, we don't save as a template. We just exit over here. What means saving as a template? Saving as a template means that these settings you will save as a template. Let's say, for example, test template, create template. So every time that later on you create a funnel, you can use this template and it will know automatically some of those settings that you already had. Because if you saw it over here, let's say you're creating multiple funnels and all of them have the same settings. So let's say in all of the pages, you don't want the badge to show, you don't want the search engines to show. Imagine going every time to here, to general, and going and change. You can create a template for that. The other thing, we already explored typography in the previous video. You can change your background. So I don't know if you notice, there's like a kind of diamond sort of thing background there. You can change that background. Just come over here and you can put over here an image. Or you can say, hey, I don't want any image. I wanted a color. Let's say I wanted this color. Oh, it looks terrible. What about maybe lighter color? Probably. Maybe something more greenish. Anything. You can change there, right? Custom CSS. So what's a CSS? And I'm not going to go over here because that's a very advanced feature. But CSS basically is formatting. Look at it as CSS equals to format. You can format anything over here. It could be the color of the font, the size of the font, the type of font, the size, the space, how much space you want it. You want it to be up or down. Anything that's related to formatting, including hiding elements, showing elements. If you you see over here, I put the mouse and it gets a little bit darker, the click. You can do that with CSS. Everything that's related to format is done in this coding called CSS. Now, I'm not going to talk about it because that's a very advanced feature. Already you can change a lot of these things by just clicking over here and changing things over there. The next one, tracking code. If you are, for example, using Facebook, Pixels or anything, I have another video explaining you more how to install Pixels. So I'm not going to explain it over here. You have SEO. That's basically, hey, you can put here the title of your page, the description of your page, keywords, your name over here. This works mostly when you want search engines to find you, but definitely at least it's a good option to change the title. So when someone opens your page, don't have a random, like for example, JSON two-step order is like, what is this, right? And then integrations, we will look at this later on when I'm going to be explaining you a little bit more how to send emails to people who become a lead. So I'm not going to explain to it right now. And basically, yeah, once you're happy with your page, click save. And in order to exit, just click over here, exit. And that will be everything for this video.